welcome back. I am Savalian, a software dev / creative. I make videos about games, game development, creativity, and whatever else I feel like. And today we're going to talk about the newish update for one of my favorite games, PlateUp. This update went out in mid-March. I'm a little behind on this one. And the whole vibe of the update is that it adds challenge to PlateUp for people who barely break a sweat getting to day 15 and need some other way to feel alive. And at this point, if you don't know what PlateUp is, I have several videos about the game, including several of their previous updates. It's a roguelite restaurant sim. It's pretty intense, and you can adjust the furniture and stuff. You can do a little bit of automation, and it's typically very fast-paced, which makes this update even more interesting. So I've played a couple hundred hours of PlateUp so far, and getting to day 15 on a normal map is pretty easy as long as I don't make any mistakes. And recently I tried speedrunning PlateUp for the first time, so I'm kind of in that bucket of people who are open to PlateUp having a little bit more of a challenge. Now, one of the things that they did with this update is actually a built-in speedrun challenge. Every week there's a speedrun map, and then once you complete it you can see where you place in terms of percentile. I really wish, maybe there's a way to show this, but I haven't figured it out. I wish there was a way to see how fast the fastest run is, because I don't know how much better I need to be to increase the percentile, but I'm a big fan of this speedrun option. But that's not what I'm going to talk about mostly today. What I want to talk about today is the other major part of this update, which is the turbo map. I'll just say right now, this map is really hard. In fact, I tried to get a winning run for this video to kind of tie everything together and show off a little bit, but I couldn't do it. It's too hard for me. So instead what you'll see is a series of failed turbo runs as I talk about what this mode is and what I have found that works the best, even though I haven't actually won a turbo run yet. So this map type is available in the game just like all the other map types. There are a couple things that they've done to basically make this map move faster than a normal game and be significantly harder. The first thing is that you get more customers overall, and they all arrive in rushes. If you've ever taken a card that causes a rush, you know just how hard these cards can be to deal with. In fact, I typically avoid them because I just don't think they're worth the stress. But it basically just means instead of your customers trickling in throughout the day, they arrive in like sort of groups. It's pretty tough to deal with because it can cause a backup in the line, and that's how you lose the game. Another thing that happens in turbo mode is you get a new card every day, with the exception, I think, of decoration days. So there are new cards every single day, except the decoration days still just give you decorations. And holy cow, this really amps up the difficulty. Another thing is that you get more blueprints, and they are all cheaper. So this makes things a little bit easier, but you really need this in order to play with the other more challenging aspects without immediately losing. So you can buy more things, and most importantly, you can do more rolling earlier, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. And then the final thing is that these maps are bigger, and they all seem to have a ton of like window space. So you have access to a lot of tables without leaving the kitchen area, which is really helpful for a map like this. So those are the things that are different about the turbo map. Now I'm going to launch into recommendations, things that I found that work best, and just a little overview. As I have briefly gotten into speedrunning and learned a couple things, I did a video about, what I learned doing my first couple speedruns. A lot of the recommendations for PlateUp speedruns also apply to the turbo map, because the key really is to get these tables turned over as quickly as possible so that you don't build up a queue. So when selecting an entree for the turbo map, I recommend anything quick with few steps. So I had the most success with breakfast. I think turkey or fish would also be good. Maybe burgers. I think it would also be good to think about the available sides or additional cards. Sides usually got me pretty bad for breakfast. Adding the eggs, adding The beans, which are difficult to fully automate, those can be rough, but if you can get the right appliances early enough and you're able to automate sides, that's going to be a bonus for whatever entree you pick. So it does depend a little bit on the seed that you get with your turbo map. So anything that you can easily automate with few appliances, since you're not guaranteed to get the appliances that you need. The next step is managing dishes. They do start you with 2 stacks of 4 plates. Getting more plates early is super important. Just like with speedrunning, managing the dirty dishes and having places to put them so you can clear tables is incredibly important. A lot of my runs within the first few days had me just dropping dishes on all the counters I could reach, which is okay because they do give you a lot of counters, but that movement time is time lost in turning over these tables. So getting a dish rack or a dishwasher, or even potentially a wash basin would be good. The problem with the wash basin is that you can't drop like food in there if you need somewhere to set it down. So that's something I ran into with one of my runs where I had this wash basin that was kind of hindering me when I needed to drop stuff off. Another big challenge for me was managing walking space, and this I think is something I can try to learn by watching more people who do like good speed runs because they seem to have a sixth sense for this furniture placement, so you're minimizing your walking time as much as possible. It just felt like for me, you know, a beginner at this sort of challenge run, it felt like no matter how close I tried to put everything, there was just too much. Like there was too many different things I needed to reach. I couldn't get a clean path walking between them that was quick. So I'll improve on that, but that's another thing to keep an eye out. You really don't want to be trekking across this entire kitchen, especially since these kitchen areas are pretty big. And then on my final attempt, where I got to day 7, which is pretty good, that might be my best run. I'll need to re-watch the footage to be sure. I caught on to the pro strat of just adding a lot of tables. You do have to be careful with this strat because another thing to think about is the grease, the dirt that customers leave. If you get dirt in your kitchen and it bogs down your movement, it can and has killed my runs. One of my early turbo runs was killed because I just couldn't even move to deliver the food and pick up the plates. So what I tried to do is put tables down so that the chairs were not within one space of the kitchen, because that's the distance that they can leave grease on. And is the chairs positioned specifically, and diagonals do count. So if you can, you want to try and set up your tables so that all the chairs are far enough away from the kitchen, and then hopefully you aren't forced to take that card where grease slows the customers down, because that's not going to help anything. But this is a big thing. I even got a buffer at one point, but those always kind of throw me off because I'm not used to the increased speed, and so I tend to overshoot stuff or go the wrong way. But keeping your kitchen space clean with as many tables as possible to handle those rushes makes it much easier, because if you have like 5 tables, you can probably seat everyone from the rush, and then that way you don't have anyone waiting outside when the next rush arrives, and hopefully you can get those tables served in time and get them out of there. Then you can clear out for the next rush and things like that. So adding a lot of tables, as long as it doesn't increase the grease in the kitchen, is another one of my strategies that worked really well. Probably my worst mistake that I made was taking the card where customers can change their orders. I took this card early with breakfast because I thought it would be easy. You know, they can only change to different kind of toast, so I thought it would be fine. But I didn't account for the fact that we do get another card every day. Each card has a chance to change the order dramatically. So when I got to the point where I had toast with eggs and beans and ice cream for dessert, just really rough, the chance for their order to change was so high, And then at this point, you know, I have very little counter space. I didn't have a lot of room for mistakes, and so the changing of the orders, I think, is what killed my good day 7 toast run. But I think I hung in there as long as I possibly could have. So I think when picking cards, you really want to focus on, you know, first getting cards that get the customers out of the restaurant faster. The next one, I really think this changing orders one is a run killer. I think, you know, no matter what you do, when you get to day 15, you've got so many cards, so many potential for new side dishes, new desserts, new soups. It's just gonna be impossible. So I'm definitely not ever taking this card for a turbo run again. I think you could probably get away with photographic memory as a sort of free card as long as you have the memory space to like remember the orders when you're not in range. I think that could be a good one. Leisurely eating, I think, is probably one of the worst ones you could pick. They just take so dang long to eat, and you could do silverware, but that's another step that you have to take with each table, and then the silverware is limited, so it's not a guaranteed win if you just get leisurely eating and then the silverware as well. So a lot of things to consider, but I really think the most important thing is kind of a speed run perspective on this, which is getting the customers out of the tables as fast as possible. And then I think my last tip for this is to really remember the money situation in turbo mode. I got so used to longer runs and trying to save up for those end game automations that I just would forget to re-roll early. I would forget to spend kind of big on appliances that I might need later. And if you're anything like me, you will have plenty of money if you can even get to days 4 or 5 to just really roll big. And in this mode, even getting one step of the process fully automated could save your entire run. Like if you can get a mixer early or a grabber that leads to like a safety hob or something, that could make it a one-click process to serve your customers, which is just gonna be so good. So I would recommend, you know, have a reminder, you have plenty of money, you should re-roll. Don't let the normal mindset creep in of sort of saving up for these bigger upgrades, because there's a good chance you won't even get to the end game to buy those upgrades. So that's something I really had to keep in mind. And then also remember, decoration days still exist, and you cannot roll for appliances on decoration days. And it kind of comes at a critical time. Like by the time you get to your first decoration day, you're in it. You're in the thick of it, and desperately you need more appliances, more automation. So it's really tough on this one. So make sure to roll earlier than you normally do. And remember that any day you could get a card that adds a side dish or an additional entree. So you might want to pick up appliances that you don't need yet, just because they could really help out in the future if you happen to get a new entree that could use it. And those are all the tips I have. As hard as this mode is, I had a lot of fun trying and failing and trying again. It will be a grand moment of victory when I finally do. I really just need to get my head right. I really have to focus on these, which is kind of nice. Kind of gets you in the zone. And I also probably need to just get lucky with the entree and the seed. Just have everything line up, try to refine my speedrun strats. Replaying the same seed with a better mind for what's coming up could be good too. I have so little time to play PlateUp or play any games at all that, you know, rerunning a run over and over again where each run takes like an hour is so tough for me. So I'm gonna keep trying. I really like this update. Even though I haven't won it, I feel like the challenge is really nice, and I'm excited to see other people, like how they sort of approach the turbo map and the speed run, and start to see those percentiles get more and more challenging to do the weekly speed run. It's just a lot of fun. And if you don't have PlateUp yet, I've said it before and I'll say it again, this is my personal game of the year for 2022. It might be my favorite game at this point. I haven't committed to that title yet, but it's a fantastic game. It's just as good solo as it is with friends. The music is great. There's a lot of potential for changing it up. Like, even without all these updates, people were coming up with unique runs and unique self-imposed challenges, and then this update just adds more potential for different ways to play. You have all the holiday maps that they've added in the past year. It's just a good game, and it's really well loved. They're doing a lot with the updates, and I'm always excited to see what they come out with next. And it goes on sale all the time, so you can probably get it for a really good price as well. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I always love a chance to play more PlateUp, so you'll likely see more of these sprinkled into my channel in the future. In the comments, let me know, have you tried the turbo map? Did you win? If you did, please tell me all your secrets. Alright, that's all I have for today. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, because I'll be back soon with another video, and I hope to see you there. Bye bye.